You have been told all your life that being nice is the key to success, that kindness will open doors, win hearts, and make life easier. But what if I told you that being too nice is the very thing that's holding you back? People-pleasing, avoiding conflict, and always putting others first might seem like the right thing to do, but in reality, it makes you an easy target for manipulation, disrespect, and even betrayal. The truth is, the world does not reward kindness. It rewards strength, boundaries, and self-respect. If you have ever felt like people take advantage of your kindness, that you give and give but get nothing in return, then stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand why being too nice is ruining your life and, more importantly, how to break free from it. Society constantly praises the idea of being nice. From childhood, you are told to be polite, to share, to put others first, and to always be accommodating. Schools, workplaces, and even relationships reinforce the belief that being liked is the ultimate goal. But what they never tell you is that niceness, when taken too far, turns into an illusion, a trap that makes you more vulnerable than powerful. People begin to see niceness as a sign of weakness, not strength. They don't admire it, they exploit it. The world does not respect those who bend over backward to please everyone. It respects those who stand their ground, set firm boundaries, and demand what they deserve. There is a major difference between being kind and being a pushover. Kindness is intentional, controlled, and given on your terms. It comes from a place of confidence, where you choose to help others but never at the cost of your own well-being. A pushover, on the other hand, sacrifices their own needs, lets others walk all over them, and believes that being agreeable is the only way to be accepted. The issue isn't kindness itself. The issue is how people perceive excessive niceness. When you always say yes, people stop valuing your time. When you avoid conflict, others assume you have no backbone. When you go out of your way to be liked, you invite people who will take advantage of your good nature without giving anything in return. Psychologically, this happens because humans are wired to respect dominance and confidence over passivity. The brain is quick to categorize people into leaders and followers. A person who asserts themselves, speaks with certainty, and is unafraid to say no is perceived as strong. But a person who hesitates, avoids confrontation, and always prioritizes keeping the peace is seen as someone easy to manipulate. This is why ruthless leaders rise to power, why confident individuals succeed in business, and why people who have strong boundaries are admired. The sad truth is, the world is not fair to those who live to please others. It rewards those who command respect, even if they are not the nicest people in the room. This is why many nice people feel drained, overlooked, and unappreciated. They assume their kindness will naturally be returned, but in reality, they are often ignored or taken for granted. Niceness without strength is not respected, it is used. If you want people to respect you, you must understand that being liked is not the same as being valued. Being too nice is like walking around with a sign that says, "Use me." Manipulators, narcissists, and opportunists have a sixth sense for spotting people who won't push back. They see excessive kindness as a weakness, an open invitation to take without giving. The sad truth is, the world is not always fair, and not everyone values kindness the way you do. Some see it as an easy way to get ahead, at your expense. The moment you hesitate to say no, the moment you prioritize others over yourself without question, they know they've found someone they can control. They will flatter you, guilt-trip you, and play on your empathy, knowing that you won't resist because you don't want to upset anyone. Think about the friend who always asks for favors but disappears when you need help. The coworker who dumps their responsibilities on you because they know you'll handle it without complaining. The partner who manipulates your fear of conflict to get away with selfish behavior. It starts small, just a little push here and there. But over time, they test how much they can take. Before you know it, you're drained. Emotionally, financially, mentally, giving endlessly while they take without hesitation. It's not an accident, it's a strategy. And the worst part? The moment you stop being useful to them, they move on to the next person without a second thought. Predatory charm is one of the most dangerous weapons in manipulation. Some people are not just taking advantage of kindness randomly. They are experts at it. They know exactly what to say and do to make you trust them. They use charm, compliments, and fake vulnerability to pull you in. They act like they need you, like you're special, like you're the only one who understands them. And when you start investing in them, they start withdrawing. Their kindness fades, their support disappears, and suddenly, you find yourself doing all the work in the relationship, whether it's a friendship, a job, or a romantic connection. This is why being too nice is not just about having a big heart. It's about being aware of how your kindness can be weaponized against you. It's not wrong to be nice, but when you let it override your ability to see red flags, you become an easy target. The key is not to stop being kind, but to stop being blind to the way people manipulate kindness for their own benefit. Being too nice is rarely about genuine kindness. It's often rooted in a subconscious fear of rejection, abandonment, or conflict. People pleasers don't just act out of generosity, they act out of survival. Somewhere along the way, they learned that saying yes kept them safe, that being agreeable kept people around, and that prioritizing others over themselves made them valuable. This fear-driven behavior is not just harmful, it's a silent form of self-sabotage. It teaches the world that your needs are secondary, that your boundaries are flexible, and that you will tolerate disrespect just to avoid confrontation. Over time, this creates a dangerous cycle where the more you give, the more people expect, and the less they respect you. Manipulators thrive on this mindset. They recognize people pleasers instantly and know exactly how to exploit them. They don't use force or threats. They use guilt, obligation, and carefully planted seeds of self-doubt. They make you feel selfish for saying no. They remind you of everything they have done for you, subtly implying that you owe them. They use phrases like, "I thought you were a good friend," or, "If you really cared, you'd help me out." The goal is simple: to keep you trapped in a mindset where you feel responsible for their happiness, comfort, or success. They push the limits, take a little more each time, testing how much you will endure before you finally push back. The problem is, most people pleasers never do. The need for external validation makes this even worse. If your self-worth is tied to how others see you, then your behavior will always be dictated by their approval. You will say yes when you want to say no. You will apologize for things that are not your fault. You will tolerate disrespect just to avoid being disliked. But here's the reality. No amount of approval from others will ever compensate for a lack of self-respect. If you constantly seek validation, you give people the power to define your worth. And the moment you stop being useful to them, that validation disappears. That's why people pleasers often feel exhausted, drained, and unappreciated. They pour themselves into others, but when they finally need something in return, they are met with silence. Breaking free from this pattern starts with understanding that your worth is not dependent on how much you do for others. Real confidence comes from within, from knowing that you don't need to be liked by everyone, that setting boundaries does not make you selfish, and that saying no does not mean you are a bad person. Relationships should be built on mutual respect, but when you are too nice, that respect starts to fade. Being overly available, always saying yes, and never setting boundaries might feel like the right way to show love and care, but in reality, it often kills attraction. People are naturally drawn to those who have self-worth, who value their time, and who aren't afraid to walk away when disrespected. When you drop everything for someone, constantly accommodate their needs, and never challenge them, they start to take you for granted. The mystery, the challenge, the depth, gone. Instead of admiration, you become predictable, safe, and even boring. There is a reason why people tend to chase those who maintain their independence and confidence, rather than those who are always readily available at a moment's notice. Kindness should be a strength, but in many cases, it is mistaken for weakness. When you always forgive, always compromise, and always put others before yourself, people stop seeing you as an equal. They see you as someone they can push around, someone who won't leave even when mistreated. This is why nice people often find themselves in toxic relationships, with partners who treat them poorly but expect endless patience and understanding. When someone knows that you will always be there, no matter how they behave, they start testing your limits. And when you don't push back, you send the message that your needs don't matter, that you don't expect to be treated with the same kindness you give. Standing up for yourself changes everything. It does not mean you have to be aggressive or unkind, but it does mean that you refuse to let others walk over you. The moment you start setting boundaries, expressing your needs, and showing that you won't tolerate disrespect, people start treating you differently. Friends who once took advantage of your kindness will either start respecting you or disappear from your life. A partner who once ignored your needs will suddenly realize they can't take you for granted. And those who don't respect you when you stand up for yourself, they were never meant to be in your life in the first place. Being too nice does not make you a better person. It makes you an easier target. True respect comes from knowing your worth and making sure others recognize it too. In the workplace, being nice is often mistaken for being weak. While kindness and cooperation are important, there's a fine line between being respected and being overlooked. The reality is that those who rise to the top are not necessarily the most talented, but they are almost always the ones who know how to assert themselves. A study published in the Journal of Applied Psychology found that employees who are overly agreeable tend to earn less and receive fewer leadership opportunities. Why? Because niceness, when overdone, signals compliance rather than confidence. If you never challenge ideas, never push back, and always go with the flow, you are essentially telling your superiors and colleagues that you are comfortable staying exactly where you are. Workplace dynamics favor those who take charge. Assertive people, those who know how to express their opinions without fear, are seen as natural leaders. They negotiate better salaries, they command attention in meetings, and they influence decisions. On the other hand, people who are too nice often find themselves burdened with extra tasks, working overtime without recognition, and getting passed over for promotions. If you have ever found yourself constantly saying yes to work that is not even your responsibility, you already know how this plays out. The more you accommodate, the more people assume that you are fine with being overloaded. And when it comes to big opportunities, they will look to someone else, someone who has established themselves as a strong, decisive presence. The key is to balance kindness with authority. You do not have to be aggressive or rude to earn respect, but you must set clear boundaries. When a colleague tries to dump their workload on you, push back. When you are in a meeting, speak up with conviction rather than deferring to others. If you are negotiating a raise or a promotion, do not undersell your value just to avoid seeming difficult. Studies show that employees who advocate for themselves are significantly more likely to advance in their careers than those who rely on recognition to come naturally. One of the biggest career pitfalls is being too agreeable. The more agreeable you are, the less likely you are to stand out. A team player is valuable, but a leader is irreplaceable. If you want to move up, you have to be willing to take up space, make firm decisions, and at times, ruffle a few feathers. The corporate world does not reward those who play it safe. It rewards those who take control. Being nice is not the problem. Being nice without control is. The key is knowing when to use kindness as a tool and when to set firm boundaries. Controlled niceness is what separates respected individuals from those who are walked all over. When you are kind all the time, without strategy, people assume it is your default setting. They take it for granted. But when kindness is given selectively, it becomes valuable. Think about the leaders, mentors, or successful people you admire. They are not nice to everyone all the time. They understand that kindness should be intentional, not automatic. When someone is generous with their time, energy, or resources but does so with clear limits, their generosity is respected rather than exploited. Selective generosity makes people value you more because it creates scarcity. When something is available all the time without effort, it loses its worth. People chase what they feel is rare and earned. That is why when you are too nice, people don't appreciate it. But when you are strategic with your kindness, when you offer help or support only when deserved, It shifts the power dynamic. The moment you make people work for your time and respect, they see you differently. You are no longer a resource they can drain. You are someone they need to prove themselves to. This is how leaders command loyalty without being pushovers. They balance empathy with dominance. Look at great leaders throughout history. They are not ruthless tyrants, nor are they overly compassionate pushovers. They know when to be warm and when to be cold. The strongest leaders listen, but they do not bend to every demand. They show generosity, but not at their own expense. This balance is what earns them unwavering respect. Take any highly respected CEO, world leader, or military strategist. None of them give away kindness freely. They use it to build alliances, to reward loyalty, and to strengthen their influence. When you apply this in your own life, you will notice a shift. The more you withhold unnecessary niceness, the more people will value it when you do show it. Being selectively kind forces people to appreciate you, rather than expect things from you. Controlled niceness is about being kind without losing power. It means knowing when to be generous and when to be firm. It means being unpredictable, sometimes warm, sometimes indifferent, always in control. Those who master this never have to beg for respect. They receive it automatically. Saying no feels like a betrayal when you have spent your entire life prioritizing others. The moment you refuse a favor or decline an invitation, guilt creeps in like an unwelcome guest. But why? Because society conditions you to believe that being agreeable equals being good. That if you say no, people will think you are selfish, rude, or even ungrateful. The reality is, those who struggle to say no often become the ones who are constantly drained, overworked, and underappreciated. Learning to say no without guilt isn't about shutting people out. It's about respecting your own limits. It's about recognizing that your time, energy, and well-being are just as valuable as anyone else's. The key is simple. Be firm, not apologetic. Instead of saying, "I'm so sorry, but I can't," try, "I won't be able to do that, but I hope you find a good solution." No guilt, no over-explaining. Just a direct yet respectful statement that signals strength. Setting boundaries without losing likability is an art form that only a few master. People think boundaries create distance, but in reality, they create respect. When you communicate your limits with confidence, people take you more seriously. The mistake most people make is setting boundaries after they've been disrespected. They tolerate too much, hoping things will improve, until they finally explode in frustration. This makes them look unpredictable, moody, and difficult. The trick is to establish boundaries early and consistently. If a coworker constantly dumps their work on you, do not wait until you are buried in stress to push back. The first time it happens, respond with, "I'd love to help, but my plate is full. I trust you've got this." That way, you set a clear limit without coming across as rude. The people who matter will respect you more for it, and the ones who don't, they were never worth pleasing in the first place. Confidence does not mean being loud, aggressive, or dismissive. The strongest people in any room are those who speak less but carry undeniable presence. They do not need to prove themselves to anyone because their actions already do the talking. If you want to project strength while maintaining kindness, stop seeking validation. The more you try to convince people you are confident, the more you seem insecure. Instead, master controlled speech. Speak with purpose, never rush your words, and maintain steady eye contact. Use silence as a tool. People respect those who can handle pauses without scrambling to fill the void. Lastly, remember that real confidence comes from knowing you are in control of yourself. When you stop over-explaining, when you hold your ground, and when you treat yourself as someone valuable, the world will follow suit. The first step to breaking free from the too nice trap is reprogramming your mindset. You have been conditioned to believe that saying no is selfish, that putting yourself first makes you a bad person, and that conflict should be avoided at all costs. But the reality is that the most respected people in the world don't live by these rules. They understand that respect is not about being overly agreeable or bending over backward to please everyone. It's about standing firm in your values, knowing your worth, and setting boundaries that others must acknowledge. You need to rewire your thinking from seeking approval to demanding respect. Start small. Speak up when someone interrupts you. Push back when a request feels unfair, and say no without over-explaining. Every time you choose self-respect over unnecessary niceness, you reinforce a powerful new identity, one that commands attention rather than begs for validation. To be respected without being feared, you must master 3 essential rules. First, be assertive, not aggressive. There's a fine line between confidence and intimidation. When you speak, make your words intentional. Keep your tone steady, your body language strong, and your message clear. Assertive people don't shout, they don't beg, and they don't apologize unnecessarily. They make their stance known with quiet confidence. Second, always follow through on your words. If you set a boundary, enforce it. If you say you won't tolerate disrespect, act accordingly. People respect those who mean what they say. Inconsistency makes you look weak, and once people see that you don't follow through, they will push your limits even further. Third, control your emotional reactions. People who are too nice often feel guilty when they enforce boundaries, and manipulators exploit that guilt. Successful people stay composed, whether they are saying no to a request or rejecting a deal that does not serve them. They do not explain their decisions endlessly, nor do they seek permission to put themselves first. The most successful people have mastered this balance. They know that being likable is valuable, but being respected is non-negotiable. Take someone like Warren Buffett. He is known for being approachable and kind, yet no one dares to take advantage of him. Why? Because he has a clear sense of self-worth and does not allow others to manipulate him. Respect comes from a combination of fairness, strength, and consistency. If you want to thrive, you need to unlearn the habit of people-pleasing and replace it with the habit of self-respect. People may not like the new you at first, but they will respect you. And in the long run, that is what truly matters. Breaking free from the too nice cycle is not about becoming cold or ruthless. It is about reclaiming your power. The world does not reward those who constantly put themselves last. It respects those who stand firm, set boundaries, and demand to be treated with dignity. You have seen it before. Those who are confident in their worth do not have to beg for respect. They command it. And that is the shift you need to make. If you want to be valued, you must first value yourself. The moment you stop seeking approval and start prioritizing self-respect, everything changes. People will take you more seriously. They will listen when you speak, and they will treat you with the consideration you have always given them. Now, I want to hear from you. What is one situation where being too nice has backfired on you? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next one. There is so much more to learn about power, influence, and dark psychology, so stick around. Your future self will thank you.